Okay, if you could please start by introducing yourself.
Introducing myself. I'm the person who did the mural behind me. I am Bob Robert, your choice, Glaisek. I did that mural, they tell me, in 1957. I haven't checked the records, but I accept Bill Godsby's word on this. He did, I'm sure, check the record. I returned here in 2005 for some gathering. I've forgotten what it was billed as, the gathering, but a lot of the people I worked with here on the base were here too. And it was about that time they discovered that I had never signed the mural. So they insisted I sign it. I had no paints with me. So someone produced a laundry marker, or a reasonable facsimile thereof, and it's been signed with that, slightly tacky, lower right-hand corner. So at least it is now signed. And I was a technical illustrator here for the better part of my service. I was drafted. And by the way, I noticed that the name of this place wasn't mentioned once. I knew it as WSPG, condensed to WSPG. It's now WSMR, which is Wismar. Wismar as an acronym does sound better, but I'm sure that's not why they changed it. So, yes, indeed, I signed it 2005. I dated it to what I thought was the date I painted it in. I didn't have those records in front of me then, but I'm pretty sure it was 1957. Well, Bill tells me it was 1957. So I was one day presented with this material, or the offer was made to me by, I've forgotten who now. It might have been Colonel Redmond, who once sat at this desk, or it might have been Captain Kingsbury, who seemed to be the go-between between PFC Michelangelo here and the military people I was dealing with. They said, do you think you could paint a mural? We want to celebrate a General Toftoy. I had never heard of him. Everybody here surely has, by now at least. And he headed Operation Paperclip. And everybody here knows what that operation was commissioned to do, what it was charged with. So they gave me some photographs, just kind of commercial photographs of a sort. And I had to come up with a concept. I think, as I recall, this is something else too that I was looking through my records to find all of the sketches I had used to put this mural together, and also the photographs that I used in painting it, because the photograph they gave me did not have, or the photographs they gave me did not have General Toftoy looking towards the heavens, towards the future, which is kind of what that is indicating there. So I had to take the photographs I had of him and imagine what his face would look like tilted up towards a sky. That extrapolation, I think, was fairly successful. So I worked with that, and they gave me a room to paint it in. It was on the main floor of the Ordnance Mission building, which I believe is this building now under a different name. And they gave me an office to paint it in. And I had to build a scaffold for it, a frame, in order to stretch the canvas on it. Prior to that, of course, I was using the light tables and other appointments of the studio for the illustration department to work up the sketches for the mural. Did some research on it. I didn't have that conquistador fully clothed and armored in my head, so I did some research on that. And I do believe that General Toftoy is wearing the special service patch on his sleeve, which I had on my sleeve too. So the framework got built, and I don't recall if I was given the aid or assistance of base carpenters or not. I was accustomed to building my own frames. I had done murals before. I worked, in fact, with a famous pair of muralists in New York City. The work for one of them, Winold Rice, is currently in the Smithsonian, which I understand that this is going kind of by proxy. And so following what I had learned from those two guys, I built the armature, the stretcher bars. I don't recall where I got the canvas. I guess I ordered it, got it someplace in El Paso. I don't remember where I got the art supplies, because the supplies I worked with in the illustration department did not include oil paints and oil brushes. So I must have bought those in El Paso. So I worked up a series of sketches for myself, ideas, some with the Organ Mountains in front, some ideas I rejected. And I knew then, I felt strongly then, this is just about the time Sputnik was launched, and Laika, the dog that the Soviets sent up in outer space, was also circling the Earth. He didn't make for a very happy landing, the dog. They didn't have his capsule insulated well enough, and he got rather fried. Still in all, he's a hero, and he was then, probably still is, in Russia. So I knew we were going for a moonshot. I mean, I felt it. Nobody said anything about that, but it was obvious from the way people were talking. And that's why General Tolstoy's eyes are raised towards that moon that you see up there. Bill Godbey told me that, I was honored to hear this, that retirement packages that are given to people who are leaving included a duplication, a replica, a photograph, whatever, of that mural. He said, however, they left off the moon. I said, but that was so much a part of it. And Bill recognized that right away. And I think Bill said that it's been rephotographed since, and that omission has been remedied. So that, and I wanted him to be cradling something. I didn't know what. I knew that the atomic tests had taken place uprange at Trinity site, and I thought perhaps missiles in the future, or rockets certainly to outer space, would be powered by nuclear fuel perhaps. So he's cradling the, almost a cliche, the circulating electrons and positrons in the nucleus. That's what he has in his hands. I worked often into the night on the mural. I was accustomed to painting at night. And also, military protocol required that you wear your uniform every day. I didn't want to get paint on mine, so I started to wear a smock over my uniform. They said, okay, you can wear a smock over your uniform. Well, once I had the smock on, you couldn't see if I was wearing a uniform or not, so I just totally stopped wearing the uniform. I'd like to just interject here and say, the military personnel in this space were very indulgent with me. They were very kind. And I have some anecdotes which maybe not perhaps be appropriate for this interview. They are rather funny. And I was skirting with the stockade perhaps at one point. Maybe I will tell one. You can edit it out if you think it's inappropriate. So instead of going back to the barracks every time, because I was going very late on the mural sometimes, I decided to start sleeping behind the mural on the floor of that office building I was painting it in. And I don't remember if I had a blow-up mattress or what I used back there. And I did that for a while, and then I discovered that in the women's room, which was right in the main lobby, there was a cot. How comfortable. And after everybody left, I was about the only person in the building. In fact, I seemed to be the only person in the building after everyone left. Now, my memory is a bit sketchy on this, and the way I remember it might be a convenient memory. But there was one night where I was using the women's room, the cot, going to sleep comfortably, and I hadn't gotten up in time. And I was expected to open up the place. The women's room opened directly onto the main lobby. There was no transition. I realized I overslept. I opened the door, I exit the women's room, and there's all these people standing right outside the door, seeing me exit the women's room, and waiting for me to unlock the doors. A moment of high embarrassment, and not a little bit of humor to it also. And that's one anecdote you might want to edit out or keep in. Back to the mural itself. One of the kind of aesthetic problems, you might say, was what to do with the grand stretch of what was part of the Tularosa Basin, the big flat area. If I painted it as it really appeared, tufts and lumps of grass, it wouldn't have been too interesting or too exciting. And I wanted to really somehow indicate the depth and the expanse of it. So I arbitrarily kind of divided it into rectangular sections, uneven rectangular sections, done in perspective, that carried the eye back into space, back to the base of the mountains themselves. I guess you can still see that. I didn't look when I came in the room, but I'm sure it's still there. And it was like not only a device to make the expanse look greater, or not to make it look greater. I mean, it was great already, but if I were to paint it again to repeat what I just said, as it would have appeared to be, it would not have had that same feeling of depth. So I, again, took artistic license and I sectioned it off into irregular perspective rectangles. And then I tried to look for a metaphor to defend it. I said, yes, it represents the checkerboard of world and military stratagems. I didn't say that, but it kind of ran through my head. If I had to defend it in some way other than just the aesthetics of it. So legend at the bottom, I wrote that too. What does it say? Here are the Organ Mountains, if I recall correctly. Witness the second conquistador who, like the first, comes to conquer a new world. Now, by today's lights, that is kind of tinged with a little bit of political incorrectness. If you start reading the whole history of the Spanish conquest and what happened to the native peoples that were here and so on. I wasn't fully aware of that then. I sometimes jokingly referred to it when I was doing it as a big political cartoon. I think it was just in order to deal with the enormity of the assignment. Enormity insofar as the Army wanted this. And it's a pretty cool thing that they gave me this to do. I was, what,